Hey everybody, this is my grandpa, Kevin Dyer, and I'm staying in his house for the summer, as I always do, stay with grandpa and grandma. And we were sitting around last night just talking through like the early days of international teams and this story that he has about the first team that they sent to India just really inspired me, and it got me thinking about how we need more risk taking and acts of faith. Um, and so I wanted to share the story with you. So, Grandpa, tell us about that first team.
We went to Calcutta, India in 1961 with the purpose of selling Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John on the streets of Calcutta. Calcutta was one of the dirtiest cities in the world. It was one of the neediest cities, very few believers in the city. And so
You said Mother Teresa was there.
Mother Teresa was there at the time, but she wasn't well known back in those days. But anyhow, there were 10 of us on the team, and 6 of us went with the goal of selling on the streets. And so we went to the Bible. We ordered from the Bible Society ahead of time, and the Bible Society man wrote me and said, "Look, you're crazy. There's no way that you can sell 100,000 gospels on the streets of Calcutta." He said, "We've got 13 people who sell all year long all over North India, and they sell 30,000 a year." And he said, "You're talking about 6 people, half the people, to sell 3 times as much in just one city." And he said to me, he said, this is crazy. Don't do it." And so I just had a real sense that God was saying, "Do it, go for it." And I said, "Well, no, I want to order 100,000. And so we ordered them in Hindi, Bengali, English, and Urdu. And so when we got there, they were ready, and we took the Gospels and stacked them in a place in a storage area, and we began. We went out in the street the first day, scared to death, and we held the Gospels in our hand. There was one bright red, one yellow, one green, and one orange one, and we held them over our head and said, "The good news of Jesus" in Hindi, Bengali, English, and Urdu, 2 cents each. And people just came up and looked at them, and we would hand them out to the people and let them look at it, and then they would hand them back, and nobody was buying. And after about 8 hours of selling that first day, we'd sold, I think, 98. And we knew that it would take 3 years instead of 3 months to sell 100,000 at that rate. So we knew we had to sell 1,000 a day if we were going to do it in 100 days. So the second day we went out, no different. About 100 were sold, and we were beginning to get a bit discouraged. The third day we went out, and again 102 or some number like that. And we met under a street light at 6 o'clock in the evening and looked at each other and said, this is a failure. This is not going to work. And everything we'd planned and dreamed and raised money for looked like it was going to flop. And so we said to ourselves, "Look, we believe God has called us to do this, and therefore we're not going to quit. We're going back, and if we have to spend all night out here, we're going to do it." And so we turned around at 6 o'clock, went back out on the streets, and about 9 o'clock at night that night, after we were tired, worn down, discouraged, and feeling stressed, people started to buy. And by the time we walked in the door, about 10:30 that night, we'd sold 1,325.
Come on.
And it was like God was testing us, testing us, testing us. And when he saw that we weren't going to quit and that our faith was strong, he said, "Okay, now here it is." And then from that day on, we sold 1,000 every